Ravnica Allegiance is officially released in full, and it's that time where I really want to talk about my thoughts, my personal opinions on the set, and let's just take a look at my highlights. Cards I'm glad now exist, and I really want to talk about how I think that this set really changes the pace of Standard. So Ravnica Allegiance. I've been pretty emotional with these spoilers because I am seeing a change in Standard Magic the Gathering, and a really good change I have to say. There are so many cards in Allegiance that change the pace of power levels within Standard, and even some cards that could be pretty powerful in Modern, though I'm not sure how much they will affect Modern until we really see them in action. I think that Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance really change the pace of Magic, and I really love what they're adding to the game because a lot of these cards are pretty unique ideas that haven't actually been done, or they're cards that are really close to fan favorites. Look at Skewer the Critics. It's a standard and a modern, not as good but pretty good lightning bolt, so it's a pretty powerful common. We're also seeing cards like Absorb return to standard, and these are cards that I personally am really happy about seeing, but there are also a lot of cards that are new that I'm not loving. Planeswalkers to me are really the highlight of new sets, because Planeswalkers usually add a lot of value to the set, but they're also one of the highlighted types of cards that you can pull, and I'm feeling really disappointed here. Kaya Orzhov Usurper is a card that I just feel isn't as good as it could be. It doesn't protect itself at all. I feel like it doesn't add much to Orzhov decks. Dovin Grand Arbiter could be very good in blue-white Teferi Nexus of Fate. I'll take 10 turns if I have to win the game. But if Teferi gets the banhammer like I think it should, this card won't really hold any value and it just wouldn't be that great overall. And Domri Chaosbringer to me goes kinda both ways, because he's a 4-cost that comes out with 5 loyalty and his ultimate is really strong, and his +1 is pretty good, but his -3 isn't that great to me. I see him being utilized well, but I don't really see him holding a ton of value. Maybe a $15 card that could go lowest 10, and I'm really feeling underwhelmed with the Planeswalkers, but I think that they add something to the game. I just don't really see myself using them, which is why I feel kind of disappointed with them. And of course, we've got some more Shocklands, which do add to the overall value of the set. Guilds of Ravnica Shocks are sitting right around $8 each, and I'm guessing these will probably stay around those prices as well, and this does add to the value of the set, like I said, and I do think that it's really what helps the new Ravnica sets actually value, because if you look at Guilds of Ravnica, not a ton of cards held financial value besides Arclight Phoenix, Assassin's Trophy, and Doom Whisperer, so I do feel like without the shocks, the sets would be value-wise really flops. But with the Shocklands, you know, having that extra chance to pull something that's a guaranteed $8, it's pretty good and it does really add to it. You guys know I can't wait to talk about this part, and that is the artwork. I am overall in love with the artwork of this set, more than Guilds of Ravnica, and maybe even more than Dominaria or Amonkhet, which is kind of hard for me to say. I know artwork doesn't add to the value of the cards themselves, but it adds a special value, because if a set has no flavor value, you know, I definitely don't get excited to open boxes because it's less of an experience. Now, I am not a huge fan of the Rakdos Jester theme that they've gone with. I'm not a lover of it, but I can put that aside because even though I don't love it, they all feel really intertwined and like they fit together, which is such a big part to me. They don't just feel like individual cards. Now, what I don't love and what really feels really bland to me is Lavinia. She feels like a man in my opinion. Her hair is short, but her body type feels so masculine, and I understand that Lavinia doesn't look like Liliana, but the rest of the set looks so good, and she's just such an important character that feels like such a letdown, and Gruul feels very different. Same with mono green cards. I feel like they look so rushed, but I can say a solid 90% of the artworks are in this set are very impressive. Look at the artworks that come from Kev Walker and Seb McKinnon. Honestly, Seb McKinnon has been wearing on me and has such a special place in my heart lately. And there's also quite a few Magali Villeneuve cards in this set that just take my breath away. I hope that I'm saying her name right. It's French and it's a very deep French name, I think, so I don't think I pronounced that particularly right, but she's the one that created Chandra Torch of Defiance, Seraph of the Scales. I can go on and on. She is an amazing artist. Oh, she also created the new negate that was in Ixalan. Just throwing that out there. Seraph of the Scales is an art that I really want on a playmat, more than I've wanted a playmat in a very long time. Overall, I think the artworks look so well coordinated, and for the most part, everything looks so stunning, and I am so happy that we are going back to that true fantasy feel of Magic the Gathering, and I really hope it stays this way. Now, 4 of my highlights of the set for new cards to be released are Skewer the Critics, which is a very good common, which is a 2 colorless, 1 red sorcery, which the sorcery part is the downfall, but it has got Spectacle, 1 red, and it deals 3 damage to any target. My second highlight has to be hands down Pestilent Spirit. I'm so excited to see this type of card in Standard. It's a 2 colorless, 1 black spirit, 3/2, and it has Menace and Death Touch, and reads instant and sorcery spells you control have Death Touch. So a 3 for a 3/2 is pretty standard, but the ability is so great, and I am so damn happy a card like this is finally going to exist. I am going to use the heck out of this card. I can already think of a million different builds that I could put this in. My third highlight is Electro Dominance. Its cost is X and 2 red, and it's an instance. Electro Dominance deals X damage to any target. You may cast a card with CMC X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. I think this card is great in addition to all of the X costing mono red cards that we've seen in a lot of the past few sets. And my fourth card for the mono blue lover in me is Sphinx of Foresight. 2 colorless, 2 blue, 4/4, so pretty standard. And it says you may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep. It's got flying, and at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Now, I'm not sure where this will be played besides Standard, but I really have a good feeling about this card being utilized somewhere other than Standard, maybe. It's risky because you really want it in your opening hand, of course, and if you don't get it, well, it's a 4/4. For 4 with scrying 1 at the beginning of your upkeep, which is good, just not as a mana efficient as it could be, but I do have hope for this card. I do think that I'm going to try to use this card somewhere. Probably will fail at it, but it's okay. It's worth a shot. Overall, I think that Ravnica Allegiance is actually a really good, solid set. I don't feel a ton of Ravnica from it, though. I think the cards in the set are innovative and definitely adds a lot to the game and to Standard, and it really increases the power level of Standard a lot, making more decks and strategies viable. The art is fantastic for the most part, and I definitely plan on picking up quite a bit of Allegiance if I can get my hands on it. I do think that this set has a lot of potential, and I personally think it's worth it to pick up some sealed product of, or if you really don't feel like you've got the luck of the draw, I definitely would pick up some specific singles in this set, because I do see quite a few of these singles actually rising in price and being worth it to speculate on. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, and of course if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either which way, but I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys again really soon.